Jonathan. I'm here to flip the script on everything you thought you knew about construction. Hello, folks. Jonathan Snelly here. Again, People First Thing Construction. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for taking time out of your day. You can be doing a ton of other things, and instead you have chosen to share some space with myself and our wonderful guest today, Joe Giordano. Has been in and out of my life for several decades, pivoted through so many different careers. A miraculous person. He's recently embraced the political space, and he's here to share a story about when you love yourself, when you love where you live, and when you love the people around you, you organically lead with love, and that changes everything. We're in for a treat. This one's super exciting. It's fun. It's real. Man, does it pull out some of the heartstrings. So hang tight. There's a lot to focus on here. This episode today brought to you by TCS Construction, Technical Concrete Solutions. Technical Concrete Solutions is out there changing the landscape of the scaffolding community, whether it be design, whether it be manufacturing, whether it be rental or purchase. TCS Construction does it dramatically different. I've had TCS on the show before, so you understand the dynamics of how they lead different, how they actually give a damn about the people. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to have them as our show sponsor today. Links will be in all the show notes. tcsconstruction.ca. Check them out. They actually care. They make a difference. They create an experience for every human being involved. Hello, construction professionals. Welcome to the podcast where we flip the script on what it means to live, breathe, and lead construction today. In this podcast series, we unpack how great construction can really be when you lead with humanity, put people first, and drop the bullshit of the way it's always been done. Our world has changed, our conversations have changed, and it's time construction catches up. Joseph, welcome to the show. Honor and pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
It is great to see you again. It's great to share space. Great to hang out. I mean, our worlds have intersected in and out of orbit for so many decades. And today we're sharing space in a tremendously different environment. And I'm really excited. I'd like to share with the world your story of how you went from construction, education, marketing, into something dramatically different. So tell us a short story on how you went from where you were to where you are today and what that was like.
For sure. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here as well. And I just like to say it's an honor for me to be here because at the end of the day, what you talk about in your content of your show really resonated with me. And it's something that I believe in and I'm aligned with on a lot of your topics. And so when you actually reached out to me, I was very honored, and I hope I can deliver some good content from some of your other guests because they really set the bar quite high. So thank you for that. So in regards to the question that you asked me, it's interesting. I had no interest in becoming a counselor. It was not something that was ever, but I always enjoyed politics, but I didn't really enjoy politicians, if that makes sense. I looked at politicians as, someone that, may or may not be living the best example of representing the community. But the politics side of things really interested me on how things work, but it was never on the radar. And my passion was creativity. It's creation, and it's creation through my passions. And that's what drives me. So starting off with the marketing and, developing business strategies and helping businesses grow. That's what I've been doing. Whether I have my own business and everything else, it was just really every project and every company I worked for or any client that I had, it was all about, we were mutually passionate about growth success. And one day, I had a bunch of, let's say about 60 students come in, and they were there to take a tour. And I ended up giving a really compelling 3-hour presentation, and they were so impressed with how I delivered the information. I call it infotainment. So I basically try to make information entertaining in a way that is easily absorbed and they can get the most from that information. And so they asked me to start teaching and writing programs. And, I always thought, being a teacher would be super interesting, but as a professor in a college, again, I'm back to shaping and molding. And that's part of, I guess what makes me happy on the inside. That's part of my well-being is I like to create. I like to whether it's as an artist, whether it's as a musician, whether it's my day job through my whether it's analytics or marketing aspects, it's all about creating something. And so when the opportunity came to become a counselor, I looked at it and said, well, if I could do all that, why not help shape where I live?
Mm. That's pretty magical, right? There's the holistic approach of it was never transactional for you in any sort of space that you occupy, whether that was in the education sector, in the professional sector. It was always about creating an experience. And then you tie in the music aspect. I know and I understand, your passion for music and you're a musician, and that creates an experience for the audience out there. So you take that same philosophy and now you bring that into politics and you bring that into Bradford. And you hang on. So this is where it's interesting because this is where my brain's going to. You're doing all this and you're still maintaining a professional career.
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, I gave up on the teaching aspect. It was it's quite challenging to try to teach. Plus I moved a little bit further north, and I found that I wasn't as happy and fulfilled because I didn't have that giving back aspect. And we'll talk a little bit about maybe why I decided to run, but the point is that once I got elected, it became an opportunity to say, okay, well, the commitment to being a counselor is a part-time commitment. And I actually related a lot to, well, if I'm going to commit to something like coaching my kids in soccer or basketball or in hockey, that's a significant commitment for a few nights, weekends and stuff like that. But you still have your day job. And that was a beautiful opportunity about this, is that I could still be a active functioning member of society and working and also contributing to my community where we live. And so it was really important that once I got elected, actually everybody on council, except for the mayor, is full-time working. And so that allows us to basically say, we're in the industry, we're still continuing to work, try to accommodate around us, and we'll try to accommodate for the town. But we have the time and we have the passion. It's just, it's giving up a little bit of our free time to do it. But when you're passionate about something, you don't feel like you're giving it up. You're actually more embraced in it.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And that really ties in. I think the analogy you shared there really landed with me as far as the sporting world. I mean, we've all committed to other extracurricular activities that consume our time. You get into this space of politics and you're doing all this, and it's a part-time commitment, and you're maintaining a professional career. Does this not add the stress and anxiety to your life?
Wow, so that's a great question. So people are usually shy away from mental health in general. It's not we're trying to make light of it, and we're trying to make people more aware of it. But I'll be honest with you, I suffer from mental health, like probably a lot of people. My issues are with anxiety, and I've had anxiety since I was in high school, sometimes pretty significant and serious, but I'm very high functioning. And so my threshold for stress and anxiety is quite high. The average person that might be maxing out over here, and I'd be comfortable all day long, at a level like this, which is kind of how I've been for the last 20, 30 years. Now, the anxiety aspect of running for council, I didn't actually feel anxious until I won. Once I got elected, I immediately felt like I don't want to waste 4 years of my life if the town and whoever was elected didn't accept me and my ideas. I'm here to work. I'm here to get stuff done. And, I'm not here to just waste 4 years and just, have some fun with it. I want to have some fun do some meaningful, effective change. And so as soon as I got elected, I received a phone call from a couple of people who were elected. One of them was the first Sikh deputy mayor in Canada's history. And so he reached out to me and he said, come over to my house. We're having a celebration for everyone that got elected. Now, I've met these people once or twice before, but, had some conversations, but I was not close with them. And once I sat down with them and they said, you ran a great campaign. We love your message. But at the same time, we look forward to working with you. And I knew that I was like, okay, this is not going to be a waste of 4 years. My anxiety dropped right away. Why? Because we were all there to do some really good work, and we were there to affect positive change in the town and to make it the best we can. And I was like, okay, I'm surrounded by peers with like-minded ideas. Yeah.
That's humbling. And so take us into this campaign, because as far as the world of politics, you joined the campaign rather late. Was there a tipping point? Like, what triggered that?
So I moved to Bradford 6 years ago, and immediately I saw major issues with where we lived, with high rate of speeds and a bunch of, safety issues. And, you email your counselors and this and that, whether you get responses or not is, I know a lot of people are complaining. They've been there for much longer than I have. And It wasn't until we decided to, I actually formulated a band, believe it or not, like a rock band from a whole bunch of neighbors that all live on the same street. So we were hanging out jamming, and we came outside and a car flipped over right in front, down the street from where we were. And there was kids playing hockey right there. And I said, you know what? Enough's enough. We've complained enough. We've had cops, come by. We've talked to we got to do something about this. So I started a petition, and I had every single home except for 2 homes. One was sold and the other one didn't feel comfortable adding his name. But, hundreds and hundreds of homes all signed up for this petition. And I did a deputation. First time I've ever did a deputation in front of council. And I presented my ideas and everything else. And I wasn't happy necessarily with how serious not that I was being taken, but, when I look at data and analytics, you can make data and analytics say something or not say something. And there's always a different way to look at things. And I wasn't happy with how it's being looked at and the level of passion that we had for the safety of our community. I thought, no, I could probably do better, but that still wasn't the tipping point. It wasn't until I started getting more involved in the community. We had a big event happening in around the neighborhood, and people were telling me, oh yeah, you shouldn't run. Should not run. And there's people I don't know. And I'm like, why? Like, you're not part of the old group and this and that. And it was like, maybe that's what they need. They need somebody new, somebody fresh, somebody with ideas that were maybe outside. And, maybe I look at my subdivision and the ward that I would have been running for, and I thought, well, most of these people are not lifers in Bradford. They're new to Bradford. They've come here for a different life, and it's all families. And I said, well, I can represent these people better than anybody else. And that was the tipping point for me. I said, it's time for me to put the name in the hat, and, I know I could trust myself to do what's right.
Holy smokes here. Like, let's just pump the brakes a little bit here. So all of this is happening, right? You move to Bradford, you connect with human beings right away because hey, boys, you want to jam? And now you're jamming. And all this stuff is happening. And it sounded like there was sort of a gut feeling to say, I think I'm going to do this. And then you had people squash the idea. You should not run. You should not run. Like, this is interesting. I'm bringing this up purposely because this happens so many times in life that it becomes really easy to submit to that and go, well, yeah, you're right. And I can find the confirmation bias to say, yeah, see, so, this gentleman said this and it's correct. Instead, you broke the patterns there and said, enough of this. So, but still, now we're talking a condensed timeline. This is, give us a timeline between when this happens to when the election occurs.
So I believe it's in May is when you can submit to be in. So a lot of people submitted very early and right away and started campaigning. In May, I was actually trying to get my health back together again. I had some issues I was fighting through, and so I didn't even know about the election. It wasn't until I was doing the petition sometime in late May where somebody chased me down the street that was actually running and told me, hey, like, you beat me to this. I said, what are you talking about? Like, beat you to what? Oh, I'm running for councillor. I'm like, cool, that's awesome. And that's how I knew about the election. So I didn't even put my name in until, I believe, mid-August. Because I really, like I said, I just wasn't really interested. And the more and more I was doing stuff within the community, I'll give you an example. When COVID hit, everyone was locked down for a year. And there's a lot of people that moved into Bradford, especially in my neighborhood, and nobody really knew each other. So when the numbers were really, really low, we had no cases in Bradford at the time. I opened up my garage door and my neighborhood band started playing, and we had hundreds of people show up. And we performed a concert makeshift out of nowhere, and the whole community loved it. Like, that's the first time we all got to, everyone was social distancing and everything, but it was the first time people really got to experience some of the neighbors, right? The kids didn't even know each other because they moved to the area and didn't have school. They were online. Then the following year, we did the same thing. So last year during the election, I actually went to council again, and I got the first ever street party approved in Bradford. They weren't accustomed to having street parties. Where I lived before in Vaughan, that's a common thing. You could apply for it. It's a simple permit. So I ended up closing the road off, and we had about 700, 800, 900 people show up. And TCS actually built a stage on my property, 35-foot stage, and we had performers, including my band, and stuff for kids, free ice cream for everybody. And people were telling me not to run because it's not fair because you're a community guy, this and everything else, and that's not. I said, no, that's exactly what this town needs, is somebody to build communities, build people up and bring them together, not to try. Like, my goal is to basically be elected for the people, to work for the people. I they don't work for me. I work for them. And so I thought there was a big gap, and I said, let me be their voice. Let me be a positive voice in the community. Let me help bring more people together. And that was the tipping point, was just before that street party, where I said, you know what, forget it, I'm going to do it. And then I was told not to. Oh, you threw a street party. No, you shouldn't do it now. And I was like,
you're still getting suppressed all along the way. Like, this is it, man. This is where it gets exciting, because we talk about real life, right? We're talking politics here. When you talk construction, when you talk any industry, it's that thing. What are you doing? You created a sense of community. Hey, folks, come together. Come and hang out. From there, you amplified that, and you brought even more people together. And along the way, pull the handbrake, stop here, pivot. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do this. The magical thing you actually said there that really got me excited was, you're there for the people. Drop the BS of everything else. We hear so many times, whether it be in the professional world, in the political world, whatever space you want to hang out, there's a whole bunch of fluffy BS out there that we care for the people, we care for the people, and then the door shuts and it's not there. You did the exact opposite. You demonstrated, I actually care about the people, and I'm going to run for the people. And this is in August-ish.
Yeah.
The election's when?
October.
Yeah. So you haven't even, so now you've submitted and go, holy smokes, I'm actually going to do this now.
Well,
what happens next?
So this is where it gets really interesting. So, I'm smiling because at the time I thought, everyone's like, why would you put yourself out there? Like, you got a great job, you got a great family. Why would you commit? And I said, well, because I know I could do it better. Number one. Number two is my focus is on us. They're like, what do you mean us? I'm like, us, the people who live here, right? So that was my two main mandates. And then as I started campaigning, I made a lot of traction really quickly. But that negativity brewed so quickly to the point where most people now have door cams, right?
Sure.
So I started getting videos from competitors, one in particular, and it was funny. They were targeting me because of my signs on people's lawns. And the negativity that was being said about me, oh, this person over here has the police investigating because of the street party, this and that. And it was complete slander. And, I thought, do I get a lawyer involved? And then, or do I fight back? And I thought, no, I got something better than that. I got this, right? I got love. So I crafted a campaign. This was late August, already a couple weeks into maybe even early September. I can't remember now. It's about a month into it. And I came up with this campaign. And to be honest with you, to this day, I still get compliments about it. My campaign was Love Where You Live. And I did a simple video post where I basically told people, I said, at the end of the day, I'm not going down that path. You want negativity? Vote for negativity. You want somebody that wants to love where we live? We want to love, we want to play where we live. We want to shop where we live. We want to spend where we live. We want to grow where we live. Ultimately, I'm running because I want to make this town and this ward and everything else a place where we may like it, but we want to love it. And that was my whole campaign. And from that point on, that's who I am. That's what I'm all about. And that resonated with so many people, not just in my ward, across this town and even across the country. I had people reach out to me asking me if I would sell the trademark because it was so impactful.
Love where you live, love what you do. Like, isn't it? You could have taken the egotistical approach and armored up and battled back and gone to war, and it would have been empty and meaningless and accomplished nothing. And we see it happen more times than not. Instead, you had the self-awareness to pivot around that and say, what else is humanly possible here? And instead, it sounds like it amplified you, and you create something magical occurred and said, why not love where we are, love what we do? And this is now August, so you do all this, and now you're campaigning. Again, I'm making an assumption, just please clarify. You don't know a lot of the people, or you do? Did you know people at this point?
A lot of people knew who I was because I was pretty active. Like I said, for 3 years in a row, opening up the garage doors, playing, sure, posting it on social media. We have a local Facebook group for our neighborhood and stuff like that. But we're out there, my wife and I and my kids. Like we chat with neighbors, we talk, and the difference is that when I started knocking on doors, I didn't knock on doors saying vote for me. I knocked on doors and said, this is what I want to achieve. And whether you vote for me or not, these are my goals for the town and for us because we live here together. People ask me, are you worried about losing? And I thought, no, I'm not worried because I've already won. And they said, well, what do you mean you've already won? And I said, the amount of people I've connected with and met and befriended on the campaign trail, whether I won the election or not, I already had so much more value added to my life by these relationships and creating this network. So I was happy either way. To me, I didn't know if I was going to win or lose, but I was really happy that I made so many more friends and connections throughout the town. Some really meaningful ones too.
What were you doing to foster those connections? Like, was there
Talking? So let me ask you a question. We've known each other for a long time, but through acquaintances and like you said, we've come in and out, right? But at the same time, if you had something good to say about me and you told somebody about me, that's worth way more than me knocking on or having somebody knock on the door, put a flyer on there and say, this is what I'm all about.
Yeah.
So, it's a testimonial of somebody that or like, I think goes a lot longer. And because I'm a genuine person, I think that meant more to most people is that, listen, I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to change the world, but I'm going to make it better and I'm going to do my best. And I think that's what people believed in.
That's huge. How many professionals, if we had professionals in the world that actually had that vulnerability to say, I don't have the answers. In fact, I've never done this before. I'm never excited for it. Because, you give me a flyer. You know what I'm going to do with the flyer?
Throw in the garbage.
Yeah, okay. Recycle, garbage, doesn't matter, right? But now I love what you said is that testimonial is that, hey, I met this person and I subscribe to his ideas. I actually like who he is as a human being. You can send me all the propaganda stuff you want in the world. If it hits me here, I'm in.
I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, not everybody voted for me, but that's okay. Because I bet you a lot more of those people will vote for me now the next time around if I decide to go again, because I've had nothing but good intentions. I've had nothing but, hard work and good success stories so far. And I think people said, wow, okay, that's somebody that, he got elected and he did what he was going to say he's going to do. And, we go from there. But at the end of the day, we're all just human beings, right? I'm not doing this for any other motive other than for me and the people. And, once I find that it's not rewarding to do so anymore, or it's not possible, then it's time for that not to happen. But in the meantime, some people might get into this for the wrong reasons. My reasons were genuine. So that's who I am. And I guess people respect that or believe in it. So I'm glad that they do.
So this is exciting. This is the fun start. This is the positive stuff. This the smiley part of the whole conversation. And I really want to know, let's get into some of the real raw stuff. How do you keep it going? Is there times you doubt yourself? Is there times you lack confidence? What happens? What's the real stuff that we go through as human beings that we don't talk about enough?
Wow, it's a great question. So, again, I have no problem sharing because I feel like everyone could probably benefit from listening to somebody. Myself, I told you before, I didn't believe in myself as much as other people did. I had a network of, whether it was my brothers, which are a huge support group to me, or if it's my neighbors, or even people that I didn't know that well, but we've had some connections with, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got this," and I'm like, "No chance," right? I'm like, I'm just doing what I know how to do, which is be myself.
Sure,
that's all I could do, right? Be myself and be honest, and that's the best I could do. And for this particular thing over here, 3 days before the election, I was exhausted. I knocked at every door in the entire ward 3 times. After I worked a full days of work, I'd go out at night, rain, cold, whatever, because in October and September, it was cold. And I'm out there knocking on doors, talking to people. And, it was good exercise, but it actually, believe it or not, this helped me get out of the anxiety as opposed to putting me into it. Because what it allowed me to do is, after 2.5 years of being locked down with COVID and everything else, it actually connected me with more people. It got me out there walking and talking, and it actually did the exact opposite. It actually it elevated me as opposed to put me into a corner, which sometimes anxiety can do for people. So to be honest with you, it was actually the exact thing I needed at the right time. Yeah, it was really impressive.
Did you know that at the time?
No chance.
That's why I asked. Yeah, this is huge, right? We know human beings, we're social animals. We connect. It's why for millions of years we've lived in tribes, right? And something happened during COVID, whatever happens, you share this story and it's touches me here. It's like, holy smokes, you pull on the heartstrings. That's it, man. You did the exact opposite. You got out of that comfort zone and said, I'm going to try something different and do something different, and moved your body. You connected with people, And it obviously resonated because in a matter of 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever it was, mission complete.
So getting a little emotional because people have to understand that it's very hard to put yourself out there when it's so easy to be knocked down, right? So I do well in life. I work very hard for the company I work for, and I put everything I have into that. So I didn't need anything else in my life.
Sure.
But I felt empty. I felt something missing. And so I tried this. I tried it. But I tried it the best I could. And what really hurt me was how people take advantage of that, and they want to knock you down instead of elevate you. But I'll never forget this. I had my brother call me. So he's like, Joe. He goes, every time I feel like I can't do something, he's the guy that brings me up. And it makes me laugh because my brother and I used to fight like crazy, but we were best friends. And he told me, he's like, you got this, man. You have no idea. And I was like, I'm not in this to win. I'm just in it to do good. And he said, but that's why you're going to win. And sure enough, that second, I saw my name. That's how you know that passion and love wins, because I didn't have to win. I went in because I knew that it was something I really wanted to do, and I think I could be really good at it. But my doubt in myself, I have confidence.
Sure.
I have confidence, but I had doubt. And it's weird because people always say when you suffer from anxiety or when you have doubts in your life, you've got all these things against you and you feel like you're alone. You're actually not alone. There's always somebody. You just got to look for those people.
And there's always someone.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, like I had no idea about getting emotional. Like I normally don't get emotional, but I'm just realizing, talking to you now, you have a brother. I have brothers, and having people to grow up with that know you and trust you and believe in you, it's worth more than anything else. And so for me, being elected was a moment where I realized that I knew that they knew more about me than I knew about myself. And that's a huge realization, because in life, how can you grow without change? And change is not always comfortable, right? Change could be uncomfortable. It could be hard. It could be a lot of work. But what comes out of it? Growth. And growth is ultimately, in the business world, I do that all day long. In my personal life, it was a massive realization. And just talking to you now, I didn't realize how important it was. Great conversation, by the way. Should blew my mind.
So saying all that, then, if there's one sort of magical takeaway, and if this is one message to anybody else who suffers anxiety, what do you share with them?
This is what's awesome is because I'm an open book and I talk about it, I didn't realize that I am probably more normal than anybody else, because everybody suffers from some sort of anxiety, or a lot of people do. And the more people talk about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm actually not different. I'm actually very similar, and we can support each other. And once you learn that, to help somebody up as opposed to knock them down or put them aside, I think that goes a long way. Listen, I'm high functioning. I have, it really doesn't stop much of what I do. But at the end of the day, there's times where it's really hard and painful. But people have to understand that there's somebody else out there, like, always working for them. And surround yourself with people that lift you up instead of knocking you down. Because those people that lift you up, at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to make you better for who you are, or make you realize you're better than what you realize. And I think that's important. That support stuff.
You're sharing all this so honorably and open, and thank you for this. And this is so exciting for me, because this comes back to, love, right? Where the conversation started. And it was like, hey, love where you live, love where you work, love where you hang out, love where you play. That didn't even come into orbit. This was just sort of a thought that happened. And look at this. I mean, you're demonstrating wholeheartedly here the passion, the love, the care you actually have. And you say like, holy smokes, folks, this is real life. Yeah. We don't talk about anxiety. It's always sort of suppressed, like, oh, suck it up and keep going. Right. You just said something that's super magical, is that you're more normal than everybody else. Everybody's having their own stuff that goes to their minds. It just simply doesn't get talked about. We break a leg, we break an arm, we break a finger. It's like, hey, take your time, take your 6 weeks. You're talking about something that affects you holistically, drains you, sucks the energy out of you. And it's the common narrative out there is keep rolling. Really? It's kind of stuff that makes you think. So now knowing what you said, and if I come back to the love where you live slogan, because you've coined this, how, if at all, has that shifted? What does it mean to you today?
So, if I put the marketing hat on, loving where you live means a lot. It means more than just love, right? It has to do with working towards goals, right? It has to be about togetherness and working with a community. So where it allows me to do, as a counselor, let's say, for example, is it allows me to make sure that the goals and the decisions that I make or I helped craft are designed to always improve for the people who I'm there to represent. I'm not there for me. I have no reason to be there other than for the people. I don't benefit. If you guys actually found out what we can make doing this, it's a sacrifice. It's not, it's a part-time gig that is you takes a lot. You don't get paid very much, if anything, right? After taxes, there's almost nothing left. But the point is that we do it because, for the people. And those people, not everyone has the ability or has a voice or knows how to do it. So I feel like I'm blessed because I have those skills. So let me be their voice. Let me help them, and let's make this place better. Let's love it, not just like it.
That's leadership, right? Like pull the handbrake. How many organizations could be dramatically different if things were made out of decisions for the people, right? So many times we sit around boardrooms and there's hidden agendas, there's in this meetings, there's profit-driven decisions, which is all empty, meaningless, because without the people, there is no profits. It's all backwards, right? We look at it sometimes, and I want to pivot this into business because I love what you're talking about, and you're in a leadership role for the people, and you have an ability to make a difference, leave an impact. That's what business should be about. Not how do we make the next buck on the backs of people. How do you set the boundaries to say this is acceptable, this is not acceptable? Whether that be with your customers, your clients, your colleagues. So thank you. Like this is just, there's an intertwineship, right, of life. Some people say there's business, there's politics, there's your personal life. I'm here to challenge that and say, what if it's all intertwined? Because there's not a different version of Joe for business and a different version of Joe for, if you had a terrible night at home, guess what? It's showing up the next day. And you actually, you recognize that when there's just days where you're just not firing, you're off.
It's amazing. There's not many of those days. Yeah. But I could tell you, when you look at any type of business or any type of organization, when you're writing a strategy plan, any type of growth initiative, you can do it, no problem. On a boardroom, on a deck, you can present it. But if you don't have those grassroots people at the bottom driving that, then you're not going to be as successful as you hope you're going to be. And it's amazing to say that, like, every person matters more so than companies sometimes maybe understand, because if the grassroots isn't driving that, you can go left or right, but you're not going to be able to go up. And that's why we need people to be elevated. And it's hard because profits drive growth, but people drive growth that drives profits. And so I feel like that's where we really need to focus on. And it's hard. I understand. Listen, I work for a global corporation. I understand profits. Profits is very important. But those people are what drive those profits. So those people are actually important. I like to use sports analogies.
Sure.
I'm a big fan of sports. Not one player's ever won a Stanley Cup. And if you look at the teams that are stacked with some of the best players, they don't always win. Why? because you need those third or fourth lines that go out there and they grind and they put that work in. And what do? They create the opportunities for the first line players.
And there's a fantastic analogy. You look at the Connor McDavids of the world, arguably the best hockey player out there. It's only as good as it's going to be. You need people around you. You need to put the right people around you. So this is really exciting. This is really interesting because you're spending so much time with you throughout the course of our lives. You've never really been one to talk about yourself a lot. You've been a high achiever. You've been up to big things. You've never sat there and illuminated you as a human being. And today we're on a very different path. And now you talk openly about it. There's no magic pill for that. How does that sort of come to be?
Well, it wasn't my intention today. That's for sure. It's one of those things where, thank you for the compliment. And I'll tell you that I believe that if you're honest and you have good intentions right off the bat, you're better than most people that don't have those. Right. And on top of it, there's not a magic pill. So you have to work at it. And part of work, it goes back to my statement before where in order to grow, you need change. Growth drives change. So I'm looking at how can I prove myself every single day? And sometimes maybe I don't need to. But you know what? If you're not learning something every single day, or if you're not growing, if you're not improving, then you're just the same as you were the day before. And so for me, it's all about personal growth. Yeah, we're getting a little bit, we're opening up here. Mm-hmm. But the reason why is because I'm not ashamed and I'm not shy. Because if I can help one person understand that, you can be a male in a very, let's call it, traditional market or industry, and, with the construction sector or, in the marketing world, stuff like that. Everyone thinks that high level executives always have to be on 100% of the time. Well, if I didn't have my wife and my kids and my support staff around me, then you're going to be okay. But to have them, you could be great. Mm. And I feel like that's the magic pill, is surround yourself with people that will help you, not hurt you. And hey, it sounds kind of cheesy, but I'll be honest with you. I'm looking back in the rearview mirror of all the times I was really successful in my life, and there's always somebody there basically behind the scenes just giving you a pat on the back or a nod saying, yeah, we got you. Yeah. Well,
maybe you demonstrated that earlier, especially with the conversation with your brothers, right? Brothers, both of them, that support to say they believed in you before you even were ready for this. And now look at the position you're in. And so I take all that. It's super interesting, right? Because you talk about the passion and the care for people, the high achievement, the wonderful support around you. And you talk about something that was really interesting, change, and how uncomfortable it can be. And yet change drives growth. And now, you've talked about this. It's openly about a growth plan for Bradford. You brought forth a whole bunch of different ideas. More times than not, the traditional growth plan is a couple of years, right? The term is 4 years. You pushed the boundaries on that again, and you've talked about an 8-year growth plan. Some people could look at you and go, that's crazy. It's too fast. It's too much. How do you respond to that?
So there's two things. One, moving to Bradford was the first growth plan, because when I analyzed all the areas, I wanted a small town feel that wasn't going to be a small town for too long, but still maintain that culture. And Bradford was the only market that wasn't hitting all the real estate prices and everything else that other areas were. But I fell in love with the area. And when I moved here, there was growth happening, but I want to help shape the right growth for the right time. And so when I got elected, immediately, there's actually a lot of new councillors that came on board, and we had very similar ideas. And the mayor currently right now as well, he's growth driven. And when we sit down, we work together and we shape the growth. The growth of this town growth drives growth, because the more people and businesses that come here and the more homes and the more tax base and everything else, then we have the opportunity to do more with it. And so we're one of the largest growing communities in Canada. And so I wanted to be a part of making sure it was the right growth, because growth for the sake of growth could be dangerous, right? You could actually lose why people fell in love with coming up here or why people are invested in this area. You don't want to change to the point where you can't recognize it anymore either. So change drives growth, but not all growth is good. You have to choose the right growth. If you're growing, whether it's a municipal or you're in a business and you're just saying, we just need to grow, we just need to grow, we just need to grow. We want more profit, more profit, more profit. Well, you may have good intended consequences, but you can also create a lot of negativity around it too, right? So in a municipal situation, growth and just allowing anybody to build and develop without a plan, without guidelines, without a set of standards, you could actually eliminate or get rid of the culture or the quality of life that people are seeing, right? In a business sense, if you're just focused on profits only, well, you might have a lot of turnover with your employees. And the cost of training somebody is way more expensive than the cost of retaining somebody. And so a lot of times, if you put too much pressure on the growth and you lose people, well, those people are, it takes a long time to replace them, and it takes a long time to train them, and it costs a lot more money. So your intentions may not always equal what you're planning on with growth, right? So the way I look at it is the right growth at the right time is the healthy balance that you have to look at. So that's kind of why I wanted to run for municipal politics, because Bradford is one of the largest growth municipalities in Canada. And so at the end of the day, you don't want to sit there and just turn around and say, go, 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 and let any developer do whatever they want. No. We need to control the right development, make sure that this town maintains the culture and the heritage feel, but at the same time, we could elevate it to a whole nother level. We want to position ourselves to be like a Schaumburg or a Kleinburg or a downtown Unionville, and we don't want it to be like a Milton or a Mississauga, where everything just went up and out, and then all of a sudden you're trying to go back and those other communities have fantastic plans, but it's just not what's right for this town.
I love it. Thank you. And I love that you pulled in so many different pieces from the corporate standpoint of growth too fast pushes people away, and it costs. And some people misunderstand this, but hello, folks. Look after people you have. Never mind looking for somebody you don't have, because it costs you a ton more money. So thanks for illuminating that, because that's a passion point for me. But what really impacted me, and it's sort of self-serving because I get it. It's that growth of Bradford. Let's grow it while maintaining the community and the culture, and that means a lot to me. Is being in the hockey coaching world this past season, coming up to the community center and the facility in Bradford. It was a dream. Right? It's such a nice facility. It's well organized. And yet I understand the concept that we grow and expand, create the right facilities, right infrastructure, well maintained. It's Bradford. It's still it was fun. It's really fun to come to. Great people, great community, great organization. It wasn't a metropolis. So I understand that. So thanks for putting those puzzle pieces together. I appreciate that.
You brought something really interesting too. You brought the sports up again. And when it comes to growth as well, if you do it right, or if you build a team, right, and people believe in you, they will join the team, and they'll make it work faster, easier, better, more efficiently. So whether it's, one of the things I do, I don't go around lobbying, but I make very compelling cases to say, this is why we need to do this. And a lot of times it gets a lot of people motivated, saying, yeah, this is the right way to do things. It's no different than in a business, right? If people believe in, like Apple's a fantastic product line that people love, the culture of Apple. They could put out almost anything and people will, they'll absorb it, because they love the brand and what the brand stands for, and they buy into it. And so if you've got a company and you want people to follow you, and you want them to, those grassroots people that drive your profits, if they respect you and they like you and they really embrace the company culture, they'll give you 110% without you asking them to give 110%. And then everybody wins.
And it comes back to the growth starts with the people. Look at what you just talked about. Apple. Apple's a fantastic example. Who in their right mind, the price that we pay for a piece of hardware is ridiculous. Yet we all pay for it because we like Apple, because I love it. And that I'm willing to pay for that experience, for that connection. It's the experience. And then that drives, this is fun, right? Because this is the whole thing that brings it back together. We have it so backwards at times. It's like, drive profits. And at what cost? You're pushing the people away. Yeah, you could make Bradford explode. And then what? Lose all the connection.
Yeah, you create the wrong environment, and people won't continue to come here, businesses and homeowners and everything else. And then you lose that growth, right? So the growth has to be managed. It has to be the right growth. And yeah, businesses is very, listen, municipal is a massive business. That's what it is. The difference is that we don't work for a corporation. Like, the corporation is a town, but we, us as councillors, we work for the people. Our job is not to be a dictator, not to be somebody who is they're telling everyone what needs to happen. We're there to listen and facilitate what the people want.
So going through all this, there's a couple of burning questions that are still sort of bubbling in my mind. You've shared so vulnerably who you are as a human being, the whole pathway you've been on, and I thank you for being so courageous to do so. On the path that you're on, where you're going now, like what has shifted for you as a human being?
So, wow, it's a really good loaded question, because I will tell you that in my life right now, there's pillars of what's important, and family is always number one, because, and family doesn't have to just be my wife and my kids, my parents, my brothers, and this and that. Family can be those close friends or those trusted relationships that you have, and that's what's most important, because at the end of the day, those are the people that always have your back and will make sure that you're okay. So right now, I would say that my focus is also on my family, but I didn't realize this until recently. Being I think it's quite an honorable position to be elected as a counselor, but it's a legacy as well. You can help shape something and be proud of, look at how I helped grow and build something. It's no different than when I create a brand trademark, or when I do a new complete brand strategy or a marketing strategy for a company, and they see ultimate success. You feel great about that. Well, this is on a whole nother level. This is like bricks and mortar, roadways, people's lives that you're affecting and making better. And it's like, it's pretty awesome. I'm actually quite blessed to be in that position, and I'm loving it. That's the one thing. Like, I'm not just happy I got elected, I'm actually thoroughly enjoying it. And it's like that passion project that was missing in my life.
Interesting, because that resonated. There's something here that I captured. You said this somewhere in time, and I want to bring it back up. If you live within it and embrace it, you naturally lead with it. I think I understand what you mean by that, because it's coming out now. But tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I guess passion is one of the words I've used a few times today.
Yeah.
And so whether it's me playing my music or writing songs, if it's working for a customer or client, or doing work for my company that I work for, or it's municipal, if you are in it and really embrace yourselves and you're passionate about something, well, you can't fail, because you're going to give it this. You're going to put your heart and soul into it. You're going to give it the best you can give. But if you're not fully committed, if you're not into it, if you're not really living and embracing it, well, you could maybe fake it. Maybe you could do a really good job with it. But I'll tell you right now, when you're in it, you can't fail, because you're that passionate about the well-being of it.
Holy smokes. There's that word again, right? Like love. Love where you live. Love what you do. Embrace it. So cool. So, okay. Now, I really want to know a couple of really important things here. You talk about, that passion, and it's magical. And I don't want to leave the jury on this question. The question for me that shows up is, if you can teach our future generations, and let's talk about the future generations of Bradford, the up and coming children that don't know what they don't know yet, you could teach them one thing. What's the one thing you want to teach them?
Wow. Hope is not a strategy. And this is something that, and I just, you just put this on the spot. So I'm trying to come up with something. The first thing I started doing when I was teaching at Humber was I would always start my first lesson of entrepreneurship with, hope is not a ... And I'll give the students the answer after they try to guess it. But I said, on the final exam, if you don't get this right, you fail the whole exam. Because what it means is, if you hope for something to happen, it's probably not going to happen. But if you work towards something, if you have passion and drive, and you manifest something, you have a very high probability of achieving that and more. And so at the end of the day, hope is not the solution, right? The solution is you have to be the solution. You will find whatever you want, you need to manifest and create it. I should take my own advice more. But,
okay. So, all right. So now, knowing what you know, let's fast forward. I don't know, 10 years. What do you think that your future self of 10 years or 20 years from now remembers about who you are today?
I hope my future self looks back at myself and said, Why were you so scared? Why were you so nervous? Why were you so anxious?
Wow. Right here. All right, 3 fun questions.
Okay.
You have some energy.
All right, let's do
Rapid
this.
fire. First thing that comes to mind. First question. Favorite family meal?
Favorite, let's see. Favorite family meal? Chickalookies. No brainer.
Favorite superhero?
Favorite superhero? I would say it's a toss between Batman and Superman. I'm gonna say Spider-Man.
Leafs or Raptors?
Leaves.
Joe, it's an honor, a pleasure.
Amazing.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time and great conversation. And again, I appreciate what you do. And I hope that if I can help somebody, I know you've been helping a lot of people, and this content's fantastic. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, folks, there you have it. That was real, raw, authentic. That's what we're here for. You don't get much better than that. So, if this resonated with you, if it impacted you, be kind. Share it with somebody else who's going to make their day. Because this is what it's all about. People first, folks. When you care about the people, everything else changes. Thanks again to our show sponsor, TCS. Clearly, this gentleman wouldn't be here without that support too. So, TCS, you made a big difference personally and professionally. Thanks for being a part of it all.